Rahim. Assalamu alaikum dear student. Today our lecture is breach of contract in continuance of previous lecture. We continue the breach of contract. So first of all, before going to start our today's lecture, we should revise the previous lecture. In previous lecture, we have discussed the performance of the contract and the right of the contribution interest between joint promisor, the section 43 para 2, and the example I've given you, the if A is compelled to pay the entire amount of 3000, he can realize from B and C 1000 each. So this is the simplest example. Sharing of loss by default and contribution section 43 deals with this. Then we have learned time and place of the performance section 46 to 50 and 55. This section, where prescribed by the promisee, the performance of the contract must be at the specified time and place. तो जहाँ पे जो भी जो है ना वो promisee जो टाइम और प्लेस जो है ना वो मेंशन करेगा, तो सेक्शन अकॉर्डिंग टू सेक्शन 45, 46, 50 एंड 55 ये कहती है कि जी उसको उस टाइम और प्लेस के मुताबिक जो है ना वो परफॉर्म करना ज़रूरी होगा. Where not not prescribed by the promisee, if not prescribed by the promisee, then he is not bound to perform on specified time and specific place. So effect of the then we have learned the effect of the failure to perform a contract within a stipulated time. So when where time is of the essence of a contract, failure to perform within the fixed time makes the contract voidable at the option of the promisee. So if it is not performed, then it is on the option of the promisee. Where time is not of the essence of the contract, failure to perform within a specified time does not make the contract voidable. So if it is not specified in time, so it is not voidable. So if it is the specified time, then it will be a void contract, voidable at the option of the promisee. Then we have learned the effects of the failure of performer at a fixed and a contract in which time is essential. Section 55 of the Act regulates the option of the performance of the contract where time is of essence. And in terms of this section, where it is understood between parties that time is an essential element, and where one party is unable to perform his part of the promise either in full or in part within the time specified, then the contract is voidable at the option of the party either in full or in part to the extent of non-performance of the contract within the time. Then we have learned the next consideration is how to determine whether time is essence of the contract. Ordinarily, from a plain examination of a contract, it would be difficult to ascertain from the terms of the contract whether time is essence of the contract or not. A promisee may have failed to perform his contract within the specified time, yet time may not be treated as essence of the contract in that case. Whether time is essence, a contract has to decide from the terms of the contract. In mercantile law contracts, a business world is ruled by time and money. Any stipulation as to time and money is an essential condition. So the general principles that are followed can be enunciated in some cases. We have discussed first of all the transaction on sale of gold, silver, blue chips shares. Time is the essence, and time will be treated as the essence of the contract. In transaction involves sale of land, Redemption of the mortgage through certain time frame is fixed and delay is not valued seriously provided just can be done two parties. So in upper case the time is valued and in the second case the time is not so valued. Contract cannot be avoided where time is not essence. Then we have learned where when there is a delay in performing promise on executing a contract where the time is not essence, parties concerned cannot avoid the contract. Contract which need not to be performed, then we have learned in case of innovation, alteration or recession, original contract need not to be performed because it is changed. Now the contract is not in original form. There is an alteration, there is a change in the contract. So the section 62 deal with this and section 63 deal with the in case of remission original contract stands discharged when agreed. And section 64 of the contract act 1872 deals with the party cancel the contract need not to perform the promise. Then we have learned the contract which need not to be performed. A contract in the section 62 to 67 deal the some requirements performance under the circumstances split of the act. These circumstances novation, recession, alteration, uh, and remission. Then we discuss the breach of a contract, and a contract may be discharged in 8 ways as discussed. We have discussed in the previous lecture. Number one, discharge by performance, actual performance and attempted performance. Then we number two, discharge by mutual agreement. Number three, discharge by impossibility of performance. And number four, discharge by lapse of time. Number five, discharge by operation of law. And number six, discharge by breach of contract. So this was our previous lecture. So here we continue from the with the continuity of the previous lecture. Our today's lecture is breach of contract as well. Anticipatory breach of contract, where the promise are anticipatory means you are anticipating the other party on the performance of the contract, the date you have decided before in time. So anticipate means you are informing the other party, where the promisor refuses to perform his obligation even before the specified time for performance and signifies his unwillingness, then there is an anticipatory breach. So the leading case on this point is Huckster versus Deal Tour. In this case, defendant had engaged the services of plaintiff as his attendant for a tour of the continent from June 1st on a fee of £10 per month for 3 months. However, defendant changed his mind before June 1st and informed the plaintiff that his services are not required. So this is the anticipation or information before performing the contract on a specified time. This is simplest example and simplest case related to the anticipatory breach of contract. This is thus a case of anticipatory breach of contract. It was held in this case that plaintiff could put an end to the contract even before the due date with 1st June and he need not wait for the date meant for performance of the promise. So simply इसका मतलब ये हो गया कि जी जब आप किसी के साथ कोई जो है ना वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के लिए स्पेसिफाइड टाइम और डेट तय कर देते हैं तो बिफोर जो है ना वो आप उसमें अनविलिंग हो जाते हैं या आप अनेबल हो जाते हैं और बिफोर द लैप्स ऑफ द टाइम और बिफोर द उस टाइम तक पहुंचने से पहले पहले आप उसको जो है ना इन्फॉर्म कर देते हैं कि जी आई एम नॉट विलिंग और आई एम अनएबल टू डू दो सो so this is simply the anticipatory breach of contract, and the example is the best simplest example. The principle of anticipatory breach was well summed up in Frost versus Knight. In the above case, it was held that promisee could wait till the due date of performance also before he puts an end to the contract. In such a case, the amount of damages will vary depending on the circumstances. This can be explained with the following illustration. So, if इस केस के अंदर अगर किसी को कोई मतलब ये कि जो है ना वो उसके कोई लॉस हो जाता है तो फिर उसके लॉस को उसके मतलब ये कि डैमेजेस जो मतलब वो क्लेम करेगा तो वो कैसे होगा. दिस कैन बी एक्सप्लेन्ड विद द फॉलोइंग इलस्ट्रेशन. एक्स एग्रीज टू सेल वाई सर्टन क्वांटिटी ऑफ वीट एट अ सर्टन प्राइस. So Wiz at the rate of Rs 100 per quintal by 3rd March. However, on 2nd February, X gives notice to his unwillingness to sell the given goods. Price of wheat on the that date is Rs 110 per quintal. Y has a right to repudiate the contract on the same day instead of waiting for the date of performance. So वो पहले से ही उसको जो है ना वो ख़त्म कर देगा बिफोर दी डेट ऑफ जो है ना वो परफॉर्मेंस बिकॉज के जी उसके साथ जो है ना वो बात ये तय हुई थी कि जी जो है ना वो 100 रुपये पर क्विंटल के हिसाब से वो देगा, लेकिन जो है ना वो 22 फरवरी को जो है ना वो उसका रेट जो है ना 110 हो गया. वो नाउ ही इज़ अनएबल टू पे. On the day 2nd February, he is entitled to recover damages of 10 per quintal, this being the difference between the market price and the contracted price. This is so simple. If on the other hand he chooses to wait till 3rd March and the price on that date is 125 per quintal, he can recover damages at the rate of Rs 25 per quintal. So then he will recover the, अगर तो उसने जो है ना वो 23 मार्च तक उसको जो है ना वो डिलीवर नहीं की तो फिर वो 25 रुपये पर के हिसाब से जो है ना वो डैमेजेस क्लेम करेगा. अगर तो जो है ना उसने क्योंकि जो है ना वो रेट उस वक्त तक जो है ना वो 100 से 110 हो गया था, लिहाजा जो है ना अब उसको जो है ना वो 10 रुपये के हिसाब से जो है ना वो लॉस हुआ, लिहाजा वो 10 रुपये के हिसाब से अपनी जो है ना वो डैमेजेस क्लेम करेगा. और अगर तो जो है ना वो 23 उस मार्च तक जो है ना वो टिल दी 3rd March he will wait, then the rate will 25, then he will recover the damages 25. The third possibility is that if between 2nd February and 3rd March government prohibits sale of wheat, then the contract becomes void and Y will not be able to recover any damage whatsoever. So there is another possibility. If the government ban the sale of wheat, then the contract will be automatically void. We have already discussed in previous lectures. Hence, from this illustration, it would be clear that when the promisee postpones his right to repudiate the promise, it would operate to the advantage of the promisor, also depending on circumstances. So here repudiate means the simply refuses to accept or reject. Simple. Actual breach of contract, where one of the parties breaches the contract by refusing to perform the promise on due date, it is known as actual breach of contract. So don't be mix it up with the previous. In previous we have discussed the anticipatory breach of contract. Anticipatory means we are anticipating before the specified time we have already mentioned in the contract, but in this case uh, he is totally refused to perform the promise on due date. It is known as actual breach of contract. In such a case, the other party to contract obtains a right of action against the one who breached the contract. So simply is this that इस केस में तो जो है ना वो ज़ाहिर है अगली जो है ना वो पार्टी को जो है ना वो नुकसान होगा, और वो नुकसान के लिए then he will automatically claim the damages, and he take the action, and he will file the suit against uh, the other parties for the specific rights or for the specific damages, and he can claim the party has the right to claim the damages. Simple. Measurement of the damages. In cases where there is a breach of contract, the promisor who breaches is liable to pay compensation for damages suffered by the promisee. The compensation can be classified as number one, those for damages that usually arise in the event of breach of contract. Number one, those for damages that usually arise in the event of breach of contract, and number two, those for damages which parties know and anticipated at the time of entering into the contract, called special damages. So in first case in first case uh, the damages will arise when the event occur and when somebody breach the contract, and in second case the damages, they already know the consequences of the contract, non-performance of the consequences of the contract, and they already mentioned in the contract that if they will not perform then they will pay like this and this, they will कि जी वो इतना जुर्माना देगा, इतना फ़ाइन देगा, अगर तो मैं ये नहीं कर सका तो फिर मैं आई विल बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर योर लॉस, लाइक इस तरह का जो है ना वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है। और दूसरे वाले पहले वाले में तो सिंपल बात ये है कि जी जब जो है ना वो वो हो जाएगा तो फिर जो है ना वो पता चलेगा कि जी आपने जो है ना वो क्या डैमेजेस करनी है। तो इन सेकंड केस में आप ऑलरेडी पहले से जो है ना उसके अंदर मेंशन कर देते हैं कि भाई इफ़ आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू परफॉर्म, आई अगर मैंने ये काम नहीं किया तो ये ऐसे होगा। दिस काइंड ऑफ स्पेशल डैमेजेस can be claimed only on previous notice. So, however, no compensation is payable for any remote or any indirect loss. While assessing the damage, the inconvenience caused to aggrieved party on account of non-performance should be assessed carefully. Is the party entitled for compensation? He has a duty to take steps to minimize the loss. So ये बड़ी दिस इज़ वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट कि अगर एक बंदे को लॉस हो गया तो अब वो ऐसा भी नहीं है कि जी जो है ना अगर उसको जो है ना वो 1 लाख रुपए का लॉस हुआ है तो वो जो है ना 2 लाख रुपए के लिए जो है ना वो डैमेजेस क्लेम कर ले। तो ही शुड carefully assist the party entitled for compensation. He has a duty to take steps to minimize the loss. उसको कोशिश ये करना चाहिए कि जी अब मिनिमम जो उसका लॉस वो उसके मुताबिक जो है ना वो डैमेजेस क्लेम करे। The rules relating to compensation were enunciated in detail in Hadley versus Baxendale 1854 9x 341. In this case, the mill of the plaintiff had to be stopped because of a broken crankshaft. The plaintiff sent the crankshaft as a pattern for manufacturing a new one. Till the arrival of the new crankshaft, the mill could not be resumed, hence mill incurred losses. However, this position was not properly conveyed to the defendant, the carrier. तो जो कैरियर लाने वाला था उसको ये चीज़ जो है ना वो प्रॉपरली बताई गई नहीं थी। तो प्लेंटिफ ने जो है ना वो जिसने जो है ना वो दावा दायर किया कि जी मुझे जो है ना वो ये पहुंचते तक जो है ना इतना लॉस हुआ है कि जी मैं अपनी मिल को दोबारा से जो है ना स्टार्ट ना कर सका हूँ, लेकिन जो लाने वाला था उसको ये बात पहले से बताई नहीं गई थी। देयर वर सम डिले ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ द डिफेंडेंट इज इन डिलीवरिंग द क्रैंकशाफ्ट टू द मैन्युफैक्चरर व्हिच इन टर्न delayed the reopening of the mill. As a result of this, there were losses to the mill. The defendant claimed compensation for loss in profit of the mill. तो डिफेंडेंट ने उसमें से जो है ना वो अपने लॉस को जो है ना वो क्या किया है, क्लेम किया है. As a result of this, there were losses to the mill. The defendant claimed compensation for loss in profit to the mill. But, however, this was not accepted by the court on the ground that plaintiff did not explain to defendant that delay in delivering the crankshaft would delay resumption of the mill and this would result in losses to the plaintiff. So उसको ये बात पहले जो है ना वो बता देनी चाहिए थी कि जी अगर आप डिले करोगे तो फिर जो है ना वो ये हमें जो है ना वो नुकसान होगा, इतने दिन हमारी मिल बंद रहेगी तो हमारा काम नहीं होगा, तो हमें इतना जो है ना वो लॉस होगा, जब उन्होंने ये बात उसको ये बताई हुई नहीं थी. सो दिस इज सिंपल. Liability for damages. The liability to pay damages is of four kinds and they are as under: liability for special damages, liability for exemplary damages, liability to pay nominal damages, and liability to pay damages for deterioration caused by delay. Now let us discuss each one of them. Now first of all you should know what is liability. Liability means that the someone is being legally responsible for something. So liability for special damages mean someone is legally bound to pay the special damages, where it is understood between parties that in the event of breach of contract there would be special damages also in addition to normal damages, then special damages would be payable. So when the party decided before and on the time of the writing of the contract that if the other party would not be able to perform the contract, then there will be on the situation of loss, then the other party will pay like this and this. In our given example above, if the teller, this is given before we have informed about the special circumstances, special damages would have become payable. तो टेलर को जब आप बता देते हैं कि जी जो है वो कि भाई ये सूट है और इसको आपने इस टाइम में जो है ना वो तैयार करना है, आप उसके बारे में बताते हैं कि भाई इसमें ये चीज़ जो है ना वो ऐसे ऐसे करनी है. तो जब आपने ऑलरेडी उसको ये जो है ना वो चीज़ मेंशन कर दी गई ऐसे करनी है, जब वो ऐसे नहीं करेगा तो उस पर जो नुकसान होगा तो फिर वो that will cause the special damages. Liability for exemplary damages. These situations may arise mainly in two cases, namely breach of promise to marry and wrongful dishonor of checks of customer by bank. In case of breach of promise to marry, the damages are awarded taking into account the injury or humiliation which the aggrieved person would have suffered in case of wrongful dishonor. So in first case breach of promise of marry, उसको जो मतलब ये कि जी जो है ना वो आप कंपनसेशन जो है ना वो पे करेंगे, वो उसकी जो बेइज्जती हो गई जो माशरे के अंदर उसने सारे लोगों को बता दिया था कि जी जो है ना फ़लाँ बंदे के साथ मेरी जो है ना वो शादी हो रही है, फ़लाँ टाइम पे हो रही है, तो उसको जो लॉस हुआ है उसकी ह्यूमिलिएशन को जो है ना वो उसके लॉस को इन द फॉर्म ऑफ मनी जो है ना वो उसको कंपनसेट किए जाते हैं एंड द डैमेजेस विल पे बाय द अदर पार्टी हु not fulfill the contract or marry with the party. So if every party would have suffered in case of wrongful dishonor of check, the damages would depend upon the loss of credit and reputation suffered by the customer. So in case of check there are two main things. Number one कि जी कि लॉस कितना होगा, नंबर टू कि जी जो है ना उसकी रेपुटेशन पे कितना जो है ना वो अब दो तरह की लॉस इन द फॉर्म ऑफ मनी, loss in the form of honor. So the damages could be very heavy if loss had been suffered by a businessman when compared to a non-businessman. So this is Again, there are two things in this case. One, if it is related to a business person, so then there will be heavy damages. So if it is related to an ordinary person, they will so then it will not, the losses or damages will not be heavy, बिकॉज बिजनेसमैन का तो जो है ना वो लाखों का करोड़ों का जो है ना वो नुकसान हो जाएगा, फिर उसकी रेपुटेशन भी जो है ना वो चली जाएगी, उसके मार्केट के ऊपर से ट्रस्ट जो है ना वो ख़त्म हो जाएगा। तो उस सूरत में उसको जो है ना डबल जो है ना वो आप कंपनसेशन जो है ना वो एयर डैमेजेस जो है ना वो देंगे। जबकि एक ऑर्डिनरी पर्सन जो है ना वो उस चीज़ को रियलाइज़ कर जाता है कि जी जो है ना वो नहीं हुआ, तो वो उससे जो है ना पर्सनली बात भी कर सकते हैं। फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, मिसेस जी, अ नॉन ट्रेडर, पेड अ चेक फॉर 90 pound and 60 shillings drawn on Westminster Bank to her landlord for rent. The check was dishonored by the bank, but she was awarded damages of only 40 shilling as nominal damages. So this is a simple कि जी वो हुआ तो इसमें कोई इतनी मसले वाली बात नहीं है। Gibbons versus Westminster Bank 1939 to KB 8082. Similarly, where the value of check is small, the damages could be very heavy in comparison to a situation where the value of check is heavy. This is on the theory that dishonor of a small value of check would cause more damages to the honor of the customer. So it is not कि जी ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जी उसकी वैल्यू बहुत स्मॉल होनी चाहिए। इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द सिचुएशन एंड कि जी वो हालात जिस बंदे को आपने जो है ना वो चेक दिया है उस के जो है ना वो माशरे के अंदर क्या मुकाम है, वो बिजनेसमैन है, उसकी रेपुटेशन का मसला है, तो सो ये चीज़ भी जो है ना वो उसके अंदर देखी जाएगी। दिस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। Liability number 3, liability to pay nominal damages. Nominal damages are awarded in those cases of breach of contract where no damage has been suffered. Such damages are awarded only to establish the right to decree for breach of contract. Such damages are for nominal amounts like 10 rupees or even 10 paisa simply. Uh, Number 4, damages for deterioration. Number 4, damages for deterioration caused by delay. Deterioration simply mean the decline, the process of becoming progressively worse. So in this case, the compensation can be recovered even without notice for damages or deterioration caused to goods on account of delay by carriers amounting to breach of contract. Here the word deterioration means not only physical damages but also loss of opportunity. So in this case कि जी उस में जो है ना वो फिज़िकल डैमेजेस के साथ साथ उसको जो अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली हुई थी वो भी रह गई, तो ये भी इसके अंदर जो है ना वो कंसिडर है। इन विल्सन वर्सेस लैंडशायर एंड यॉर्कशायर रेलवे कंपनी 50L JCP 232, the plaintiff bought velvet with a view to making it into caps for sale during spring. But due to delay in transit, he was unable to use the velvet for making caps for sale during season. It was held that the fall in value of sale of clothes in consequences of the same having arrived after the season amount to deterioration. So इसके अंदर आपने देखा कि जी जो है ना न सिर्फ उसकी वैल्यू जो है ना वो डाउन हो गई, बल्कि जो है ना वो सीज़न भी निकल गया जिस सीज़न के अंदर उसने जो है ना वो उसको सेल करना था, जिस सीज़न के लिए उसने जो है ना वो मंगवाया था। सो अपॉर्चुनिटी लॉस एज वेल एज द फिजिकल लॉस एंड एज वेल एज द opportunity loss. So it was here held that the plaintiff is entitled for compensation without notice. How to calculate the damages? In case of contract for sale of goods where the buyer breaks the contract, the damages would be the difference between contract price and market price as on the date of breach. Similarly, where the seller breaks the contract, the buyer can recover the difference between market price and contract price as on date of breach. So इसको हमने पहले भी जो है ना वो डिस्कस किया है कि जी जहाँ पे जो है ना वो दोनों की तरफ से, जहाँ पे बायर की तरफ से जो है ना ब्रेक्स होगी, तो जो है ना वो सेलर जो है ना वो मार्केट प्राइस के लिहाज से फिर अपनी डैमेजेस को जो है ना वो कैलकुलेट करके जो है ना वो क्लेम करेगा, और इसी तरह से सेलर जब जो है ना ब्रेक करेगा तो बायर जो है ना फिर उसको जो है ना वो मार्केट प्राइस के लिहाज से जो है ना उसको वो करके. So the student may please appreciate the uh, subtle difference between the two. If the seller retains the goods after the contract has been broken by the buyer, he cannot recover from the buyer any further loss even if the market falls. Again, he is not liable to have the damages reduced if the market rises. In Jamal versus Mullah Dawood 1961, 43 IA 6, the defendant agreed to purchase from the plaintiff certain shares on December 13 but wrongfully rejected them when tendered on date. So this is the simplest example. The difference between the contract price and the market price amounted to Rs 1,09,218. The plaintiff recovered a part of the loss by selling those shares in a rising market, and the actual loss amounted to Rs 79,882. The plaintiff, however, sued the defendant claiming Rs 1,09,218 as damages, and the Privy Council allowed the claim in full. So this the difference they have जो है ना वो क्लेम सिंपल जो है ना वो बात यह है कि जी जो है ना वो जितना जो उसके दरमियान में जो डिफरेंस था उसको उसने जो है ना वो क्लेम कर लिया, जैसा कि ऊपर हमने इसको डिस्कस किया. Duty to mitigate the loss. Mitigate mean that this is the duty of the party that they should keep your losses to minimize. The person who suffers losses on account of breach of contract by the other party must take all reasonable steps to mitigate the loss. So this is the duty. Mitigate to loss mean when a person suffers damages as a result of a breach of contract, he or she has the legal obligation to minimize the effects and losses resulting from the injury. The duty to mitigate works to deny recovery of any part of damages that could have been reasonably avoided. Uh, Reasonably avoided has no specific definition but generally means what a reasonable person would do under similar circumstances. An innocent party is not required to take extraordinary effort to sacrifice any substantial right to avoid losses from a breach of contract. For example, a landlord has a duty to mitigate his damages when a tenant breaches a lease. The landlord has a duty to find another tenant and cannot let the property sit empty for 2 years and sue the old tenant for back rent. An employee who has been wrongfully terminated must mitigate his damages by finding another job. He cannot sit around idly and sue the employer for his lost wages. This is the best example कि जी उसको जो है ना वो ये नहीं कि जी जो है ना अब उसको wrongfully जो है ना वो निकाल दिया गया तो बस वो बैठ जाए और वो क्या करे कि जी जो है वो कि जी मुझे जो है ना वो जिस कंपनी ने निकाला है वही जो है ना वो उसके जो है ना वो लॉसेस जो है ना पूरा करे, बजाय इसके कि जी वो बैठ जाए. उसको चाहिए कि जी जो है ना वो दूसरी जॉब जो है ना वो सर्च करे। बिल्कुल इसी तरह से द सेलर ऑफ ए गुड मस्ट मिटिगेट हिज damages by trying to resell them after a buyer has breached the contract. For example, when a buyer of live lobsters breaches a contract, the seller must try to resell the lobsters. He cannot let them die and then sue the buyer for damages. A creditor must mitigate his damages when a debtor breaches. For example, if a debtor breaches on his car loan, the creditor must mitigate by attempting to sell the car. He cannot keep the car and sue the debtor for damages. So, this is the simplest example of the mitigate of the mitigate duty to mitigate the losses. Compensation for breach of contract where the penalty is stipulated for. Compensation for breach of contract where the penalty is stipulated for. The compensation for breach of contract falls into two broad categories, namely liquidated damages and the penalty. Liquidated damages is a genuine pre-estimate of compensation for damages for certain anticipated breach of contract. So liquidated damages that are pre-established damages we have already mentioned. This estimate is agreed to between parties to avoid at a later date detailed calculation and the necessity to convince outside parties before you have mentioned if the contract is not performed or violation of the contract. So this would be the losses, and they have already estimated the loss, they have already calculated the loss, and so this is the liquidated. Penalty on the other hand is an extravagant amount stipulated and is clearly unconscionable and has no comparison to the loss suffered by the parties. Simple. The distinction between liquidated damages and penalty is very much part of English law, whereas Section 74 of the Indian Contract Act 1872 does not make any such distinction. In terms of Section 74 of the Act, where a contract has been broken, if a sum is named in the contract as the amount to be paid in case of such breach, or if the contract contains any other stipulation by way of the penalty, the party complaining of the breach can claim whether or not. In terms of Section 74 of the Act, where a contract has been broken, if a sum is named in the contract as the amount to be paid, uh, sorry, the distinction between liquidated damages and penalty is very much part of English law, whereas Section 74 of the Indian Contract Act 1872 does not make any such distinction. Uh, in terms of Section 74 of the Act, where a contract has been broken, if a sum is named in the contract as the amount to be paid in case of such breach, or if the contract contains any other stipulation by way of penalty, the party complaining of breach can claim whether or not actual damages or loss is proved to have been caused thereby. From the other party, a reasonable compensation not exceeding the amount so named, or as the case may be, the penalty stipulated for. Any stipulation for payment of increased interest is a stipulation for payment of penalty which has to be paid simply. There are, however, exceptions to the general rule laid down in the Section 74. These are: in contract of bail, bond, recognizance, and other similar instruments are under law of any state government. Recognizance mean Recognizance means that somebody giving the guarantee to magistrate that he will appear when the court will summon and when the court will call. So this is recognizance. Or a contract where public is interest, and in the case of public interested case, anyone who makes a breach of such contract shall be liable to pay whole sum mentioned. सो इन पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लाइक कि जी आपने जो है ना वो कोई रोड बनाना है, आपने कोई स्कूल कॉलेज बनाना है, आपने कोई पुल बनाना है, तो उसके अंदर जो आपने मतलब ये कि जी ब्रीच ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया या आपने नेग्लिजेंस शो की, तो फिर उसमें आपने जो है ना वो ये पे करना होगा. पर्सन हु enters into a contract with government does not necessarily thereby undertake any public duty or to do an act in which public is interested. Of course जो गवर्नमेंट के साथ होगा तो उसका यही तरीकाकार होगा. Liquidated damages and penalty. Following are the important difference between liquidated damages and penalty. Liquidated damages are imposed by way of compensation, but penalty is imposed by way of punishment. So liquidated damages की सूरत के अंदर आपको जो है ना वो कंपनसेशन भी पे की जाती है और जो है ना वो पेनल्टी पे आपको जो है ना वो. सो liquidated damages are assessed amounts of loss based on actual or probable calculation, and penalty is not based on actual or probables. It is imposed to prevent parties from committing the breach. सो ये इसलिए लगाया जाता है कि जी ताकि जो है ना वो उनको इस चीज़ के लिए बाउंड किया जाए कि जी वो उसको जो है ना वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को ब्रीच ना करें. Though the English law recognizes the difference between the two, Section 54 of the Act does not recognize any difference between the two. So there is as such no any difference, but it seems to be like this that there is a difference. So this is our today lecture. So if there is any confusion or any question regarding this, you can ask.